Good morning. That was a scene in Venezuela this morning as hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans cheer at the removal and capture of their dictator communist president, Maduro. I have on the show this morning, I want to welcome the Figueroa family, Louis and Marlene, who are residents of Norman, Oklahoma, and have fled Venezuela to come to America. And I had them on the show this morning to give their thoughts about what has happened and transpired in the early morning. Um, Venezuela was bombarded by airplanes, U.S. planes and U.S. forces were dropping bombs and attacking. And in a surprise move, um, we captured Maduro and his wife, and they're safely out of the country. But the bigger story is the Venezuelan people in America, especially in Norman, Oklahoma, and around the world, who fled the regime of terror and crime and killings and drugs. President Trump made it a priority to protect America from narco terrorists. Maduro was indicted in early 2020, but the Biden administration never had I would say, the balls to go and arrest him and capture him. So President Trump did what the courts had already decided he needed to do. And so this morning I got Louis and Marlene Figueroa, residents of Norman, Oklahoma. Thank you guys for being on the show this morning.
Hi, thank you for inviting us, and we really appreciate it. And yeah, answering your question, what happened early in the morning and how was the feeling for our part and many friends? We were early in the morning, and Carlos he wake me up saying, "Hey, I received a call from a friend in Venezuela, Caracas, where she was telling me she lived close by to the military quartel that was having this um, precise military movement
Mhm.
from US, and she was stating they are being attacked by the US airplanes. And when Carlos told me all of that, we start immediately, Carlos and I, friends from Spain, friends from here, US, friends that are currently in Venezuela, all talking, all communicating each other what was going on. Eventually, in the news, we figure out, as you mentioned, they successfully captured Nicolás Maduro and his wife and how they were transported out of the country. So
And
right now,
so
as you were mentioning and seeing on the video, really quick to finish, many Venezuelans we are really, really happy what is going on right now, and we are very thankful with the administration of Donald Trump.
So here's what we know so far. President Trump said Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife were captured and flown out of the country early Saturday morning, confirming a large-scale attack by the U.S. that drew quick condemnation across the globe. The U.S.'s Delta Force, our elite special forces unit, carried out the operation to capture Maduro, according to Fox News sources. Republican Senator and Secretary of State Marco Rubio had indicated that Maduro would face criminal charges in the U.S., where he was indicted years ago, and that Rubio anticipates no further action in Venezuela. The Trump administration has long accused Maduro of drug trafficking and working with gangs designated as terrorist organizations, which, of course, Maduro denies. Now, Marlene, I want to hear from you because we met you many years ago. Can you tell us how you guys came to Norman, Oklahoma? Let's start there.
Él está preguntando que quiere saber desde tu perspectiva cómo nosotros llegamos a Norman, Oklahoma, ya que te conoce de años anteriores y quiere saber tu experiencia, tu punto de vista.
Hi, Rashad. Good morning.
Good
Thank
morning.
you for inviting.
Dímelo en español.
Bueno, hace años mi mamá hizo la petición para mí y mis hijos cuando ellos estaban más pequeños y pasaron 9 años y pues inmigración aprobó la petición de mi madre con mi padre y luego venimos para acá, para los Estados Unidos. Gracias por un recibimiento tan maravilloso, muy, muy bueno. Bueno, fue apropiado, el momento fue apropiado porque la situación aún no estaba tan crítica, tan crítica.
So, sorry for the interruption, guys, because I need
okay.
to keep up with all the
Yeah.
information. So,
It's
pretty
okay.
much, she was saying her mother, my grandmother, she made an application a few years ago. It took 9 years until the application was approved. We came here legally, and she's very thankful with the Donald Trump administration because it was during the first administration of Donald Trump, and that was very convenient because even when it wasn't the hardest moment, but it was really tough at that moment when we got the approbation for U.S. immigration to come to the United States. That was back in 2018. Do you want
Okay,
to say more?
so is it it? So, I've known you guys for, I think I met you back in 2020, and you were going to Berry Baptist Road Church in Norman. And I was intrigued by your story because we've heard so many people leave Venezuela to come to America to escape that regime's terrorists. So, did you personally witness any of the allegations against Maduro? Did you witness any family members or friends being attacked or arrested in the middle of the night, taken to camps or prison?
Mr. Rachel está preguntando que cuando nos conoció en una iglesia bautista y él fue impresionado por el testimonio de nosotros, quiere preguntarte acerca de que si tú fuiste estuviste presente o fuiste testigo de alguna vez de alguna de las cosas que se le acusa a Maduro, de el secuestro de personas, tortura hacia personas o persecución o algún acto criminal que Maduro se le acusa por el narcotráfico.
Of course, por supuesto que sí. De hecho, mi hijo estaba en una de las protestas y allí vimos cómo las fuerzas supuestamente del orden tomaban presos a los muchachos universitarios que eran los que estaban haciendo las protestas en contra de Maduro y su gobierno.
Of course, yeah. I was with my son, myself, because I wasn't part of the protest of the student movement that was taking action against the regime, protesting in riots during 2017. And my mom, she saw how many students they were taken by the police officers, National Guard of Venezuela, when they had their right, or apparently they had their right to protest. Children, they were under 18, and many
Hmm.
others, they were just faction of the political class of college protesting. They were taken against their free will, going to jail and tortured. So yeah, my mom, she run many cases and told with the police officers how that can happen. And yeah, she was a witness of everything back
So you
time.
witnessed your friends and family being tortured, taken away in the middle of the night, and you said they were tortured.
Que si tú fuiste testigo de que alguna vez ellos hayan sido torturados en medio de la noche.
Eh, por supuesto que no estuve en la cárcel, pero sí vi el cuerpo de uno de los
Hmm.
chicos cuando luego fue liberado de la cárcel, que fue golpeado, tenía todo su espalda y de este lado de su cuerpo todo golpeado por los efectivos militares, porque no solamente actuó la policía, sino los militares. Y soy testigo porque hace años atrás yo fui defensora de los derechos de los niños, fui consejera de derechos de los niños y adolescentes en Venezuela. En ese momento que estaba pasando esa situación, yo llamé al alcalde para decirle, mira, están violando los derechos de los muchachos. Ellos son libres de hacer manifestación, de expresar lo que ellos sienten y aquí los militares y los policías están tomando preso a los jóvenes, llevándoselos y ellos simplemente están ejerciendo lo que la
Hmm.
Constitución les permite, que es protestar. Entonces él me dijo, no, porque están convirtiendo en un ambiente anárquico. Y yo le dije, ¿cómo? ¿Un ambiente anárquico cuando yo vivimos en una situación irregular?
Okay, so my mom, I will try to keep up with everything, but she said I wasn't over there in the jail. However, I witnessed one of the kids that was taken by the military was the National Guard of Venezuela who took them. Not only the police enforcement, also the military of Venezuela. They took the children and students in the college during the protests, during the riots. And one of the kids, after they were released, um, she saw on first hand how he had bruises all around his ribs, back and shoulder. So she was a witness of the brutality. Back in the time, she was a part of the political movement of Venezuela against the regime, and she talked with the mayor. And when she talked with the mayor, hey, how that can be possible to happen with our kids or children, the mayor he only respond, no, that's justified because it is an act of anarchy coming from the kids when they are behaving on that way. And she said, no, because on our constitution, we're supposed to have the right of protest, and they are just enforcing that right. And they said, no, it is an anarchical movement, what
Right.
the opposition is doing against the regime. That was very much the justification of the aggression against the kids. And my mom, she was a
You,
witness of that.
that's an amazing story. I'm going to put up a screenshot of Secretary of State Marco Rubio when he stated that Maduro is not the president of Venezuela and his regime is not the legitimate government. Maduro is the head of the cartel, a narco terror organization that has been taking um, possession of the country. And we, of course, know he's under indictment for drugs by the United States. So, Lewis, this question for you is that do you agree with Secretary of State Marco Rubio that Maduro is not the legitimate president of Venezuela? And who is that person?
Okay, yeah, answering the question, I'm totally 100% agree with Mr. Secretary Marco Rubio when he stated Maduro is not the president of Venezuela. And I can go back, the last election in Venezuela was in the 2025, June 28th. He lost the elections against Mundo González Urrutia. And Mundo González, with the hand of Maria Corina Machado, they won the elections with the 80% of the votes at that time. However, the Central Electoral process, the entity that regulates and counts all the votes, they didn't give any proof of the regime won those elections. However, they were proclaiming the Maduro he won the elections. For another hand, Maria Corina Machado, she worked with her team to count, verify all the votes, and they have proof of that. The regime lost elections, and for another hand, Mundo Gonzalez he won the elections. So 100% I'm agree with Mr. Marco Rubio. He have been stating Maduro is not the president of Venezuela, so it's not an attack to Venezuelans. It's an attack against a head cartel, which is the cartel of Soles. Because Nicolás Maduro, during Biden's administration, was proved he negotiated with Maduro administration to let free civilians of Celia, the wife of Maduro, and they were involved with a crime of having with a Venezuelan airplane in Haiti with
Mm-hmm.
800 kilos of cocaine that was going to US territory during 2016.
Right.
So essentially, everything that Mr. Rubio has been said about Maduro is correct. He's not the president of Venezuela, and he is the head of the cartel of Soles.
Is there anything you want to say to President Trump and your family who are here in America or friends who are scattered around the world, or maybe some relatives still left in Venezuela about what we call, look, today is a momentous day for freedom, and it's especially a momentous day for the Venezuelan country. So, do you have anything to say to Donald Trump and your friends and family?
Yeah, absolutely. For Mr. Donald Trump, and I feel like many Venezuelans they are gonna be agree with me. We are thankful. We are thankful because for us we have years on this fight. I personally was part of the protests and riots. The students, they many of them they were tortured. Other few they die in the process. I didn't die and I came here to US. But we were fighting for the freedom of Venezuela many years and we didn't have success. Donald Trump, even when he's not the president of Venezuela, he
Right.
took action to protect the U.S. territory against the cartel who was flooding with drugs U.S. territory and U.S. civilians. Well, he said, no, it's not gonna happen in my country. And the solution of this, I'm gonna make free Venezuela and also make free Americans against the drugs that has been flooding this country. So as a Venezuelan and many Venezuelans, they are gonna be agree with me. We are very thankful because this is the first step of many steps for the freedom of Venezuela. And as the same time as a U.S. Venezuelan, U.S. American, that it is Venezuelan, but we are protecting our borders, we are protecting our country, we are protecting our people. So as American, I will say what Donald Trump is doing for our nation is very important as well. So as a Venezuelan and as American, I completely agree with the actions of Donald Trump.
I want to thank you and your mother for coming on this morning. We break away to President Trump's live address to the nation. I want to thank you both.
Thank you, Mr. Trump. Have a beautiful day.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.